I'm really honored to invite Dr. Nick Lin-Hi to the stage. He's a professor of business and ethics at the University of Vechta and will be joined today by his PhD student, Luca Henze. And we're doing another duet talk. Really looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you for the kind introduction. Hello and good afternoon all. As you have heard, my name is Nick. This is my colleague Luca. And we would like to present you the results of a new experimental study that we have conducted in Germany. So let me briefly spoil a little bit. We find that the information about cultured meat has already now an effect on today's meat consumption. But first, it's not working. Now it's working. Okay, thanks. The background of our research is rooted in the so-called cognitive dissonance theory. So it's a famous concept in psychology. So in simple terms, it is the feeling of discomfort if our beliefs and attitudes clash with our actions. So we feel bad if we do something that contradicts what we know to be right. And usually, we as humans try to reduce feelings of cognitive dissonance. I will come back to that point in a few seconds. So a well-known example for cognitive dissonance is called the meat paradox. So on the one hand, a lot of people love the taste of a juicy hamburger or of a juicy steak. But on the other hand, we know that today's meat consumption has its dark side in terms of animal welfare and external environmental effects. So, and this means if we sitting in a restaurant or at a table and want to have a nice steak, then we find ourselves torn between the pleasure of eating meat and the knowledge of the negative effects of the meat production. So, and now we come to the point that we try to reduce such feelings. So this is the feeling of cognitive dissonance, and therefore we have several coping strategies. So the first option is very easy. It is we can become a vegetarian. So we do not have any problems with meat production because we are not responsible for it. Yes, but to be honest, a lot of people love the taste of meat and are not willing to stop eating meat. So this applies also to me. And therefore, for most people, the second option is the preferred option. It's about changing the mindset. So, for example, we can argue, the animals in animal farming, I think they are really lucky. It's not that bad. The environmental effects are not that bad, and so on. This we can term this trivialization strategies. And it helps us to feel better because when we're eating meat, we do not produce such amount of negative effects. And of course, in the future now, there's a third alternative, is about simply eating cultured meat. So this would also resolve cognitive dissonance in the field of the meat paradox. However, we know that it will take some time until the point when cultured meat will be available on a broad scale in the market. So do we have to wait until the effects are coming? And this was the starting point for our research. So we believe that there could be a so-called performativity effect of cultured meat. I think now you are asking yourself, what is a performativity effect? Therefore, I provided another slide for you. The concept of performativity means that already ideas, something that is in our mind, can have an effect on reality. can change reality. And the concept of performativity has also been applied in the field of innovation research. And indeed, there is literature that shows that emerging technologies can have implications on human actions today. So, and now we bring cognitive dissonance, the meat paradox, and performativity together. And we argue that if we inform people about the possibility to eat cultured meat in the future and to have less negative effects, then this would lead to the following effects, that we can accept more the negative effects of today's meat consumption because we see an alternative in the future. And this is an important point now, and this is possible without increasing cognitive dissonance. And this, in turn, would lead to the point that the attractiveness of meat, of today's meat, is decreased, which in turn should also lead to a reduced consumption of meat today. And at this point, I hand over to Luca, who will show you the results of our experiment and what we have done.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Luca. I'm a PhD candidate with Nick, and I'm going to walk you through a little study we did, where we are researching exactly what Nick just introduced, whether the appeal of, or whether the information about cultured meat can decrease the appeal of conventional meat. So this is the overview slide, and this is the overview of the study. Basically, our design was a video-based design, so we had a group of participants, and every participant saw a total of 2 videos. And because we considered like the inducement of cognitive dissonance key to the hypothesized effect, we had a first video that everyone saw where we provided information about animal welfare. And we framed this video very negatively, so there was a lot of information about problematic conditions in the agricultural industry, also like the number of animals we are killing each year was mentioned. So the overall goal was to induce a state of dissonance, a state of uncomfortableness in people after watching this video. And then basically we split the group and had one group where we showed a video about cultured meat, and there we provided an explanation, a simple explanation how the technology works. We also like told people about the benefits it can provide, not only for animals but also for people. That's why you see, for example, here this little image or piece from the video where it's shown that cultured meat can be, in the end, maybe even cheaper than conventional meat. And then we had a control group where we also we also had a video on a nutrition-related topic. So the video was called History of Nutrition Habits. So we wanted to keep it somewhat related to the first video so that people weren't surprised. But at the same time, we had a control group video that didn't put forward a strong perspective in terms of pro or contra conventional meat. So people watched these 2 videos, and then they took part in a little survey. And as you can see, we actually did it as a field experiment because we wanted to measure meat-related choice behavior. So that's why we had to go outside. We had to leave the laboratory. We couldn't do an online survey. We had to actually go to some place. So we recruited people from the street. They watched the videos, and afterwards, basically, they received a voucher, and from this voucher, they could get a free potato salad. And with this potato salad, we offered them like the option of also adding 1 or 2 side dishes. And the trick here was that like 2 of the side dishes were vegetarian, and we obviously labeled them as such. It's hard to see here, but there's like a little green sign. And 2 of the side dishes were like meat-based. And what we did was basically keeping track of what side dishes people put on their potato salad and also the amount of weight they added, so the amount of meat they added to their potato salad. And we did that kind of like not obviously, so we didn't tell people we are now recording your dish choice, of course, because we wanted to keep it as authentic as possible. And the results are as follows. As you can see here, we have like big spikes at 0 when we look at the meat order weight people put on their plates. And that is because many people didn't put any meat on their plates at all. They just said, okay, only take vegetarian side dishes or no side dishes at all. And then, of course, you have like a distribution of the meat order weight across both groups. And this actually led us, this kind of data distribution, to split our modeling approach in two. First, we modeled like whether people were ordering vegetarian or not. And then for all the people who didn't order vegetarian, so all the people who had at least some meat in their order, we looked whether the group, like the control group or cultured meat group, predicts the amount of weight they put on their plates. And these are the results, and we actually see effects as we hope to find in both modeling approaches we used. So we see that people in the cultured meat group were more likely to actually order vegetarian. And also we found that people in the cultured wheat group, that when they didn't order vegetarian, they were putting less meat on average on their plates than people in the control group. And our sample wasn't that big because we had to exclude all vegetarians. We only had meat eaters in our sample. So these effects are actually as strong was also surprising to us. So because they achieved significance, and at that power level, they are pretty substantial. Yeah, and this actually leads us to the overall implication that we should talk more about cultured meat. And as Nick just said, like this could be this performative effect that even though the technology is not out yet, just talking about the technology and telling people why we use this or why we want to have this technology can realize or can change the status quo now. It can influence people in their decision making. And because of course we had this effect now in the context of inducing cognitive dissonance first, like telling people about the problems in the meat industry first. But this is actually something that's very well integratable in the communication about cultured meat, that we tell people why we are actually developing this technology, and that we shouldn't forget always telling people that, because then it can even realize these effects now. So yeah, that's it from our part. Yeah, thank you very much. Any questions? There's a question there. I see. Yeah.
Thank you. Super interesting. I have a question if you have any plans to measure their responses over time. So maybe not. What was the time between after they watched the video versus the dish?
Yeah, very good question, and I would say it's the main limitation so far of the study also, that we only have very short-term measurement of behavior change. We only gave them the voucher and basically said, okay, you can get your potato salad now. So we didn't wait a week or something. So this would be definitely something interesting to keep track of now. There are little indications that like attitude changes or attitude shifts that occur because of cognitive dissonance related processes, they are more stable than people previously thought. There was some recent meta-analysis, but of course this would be absolutely something we would need to explore.
Thank you.
I was wondering, because I saw that in the survey you had like gender, the number between gender people that
Oops, sorry.
joined the survey, but I was wondering if you also measure, like take into consideration the culture of the people, because we saw in the previous presentation, for instance, that French people are just a bit more reluctant to just drop meat. So I was wondering if also culture could be a factor to consider here.
Absolutely, culture could be a factor, but of course we did this study in Oldenburg, which is like a typical German city, I would say. So most people, I guess, were like had like a German background or maybe Croatian background, but like were German citizens. So it would be, of course, also necessary if you want to have big generalizable effects to go to different populations, also go to different countries and ask people about there. And then if we have like cross-cultural research, of course, culture should be a variable that's included in the survey design.
We've got a question in the back. A couple questions in the back. Can we toss it?
What?
Back there? See where it lands?
There?
Wow.
That was a good throw.
I was curious, were you able to have a conversation with the people that did this because, of course, you measured whether they would do this consciously or unconsciously, but did you have conversations afterwards with people? Were you able to make them aware of that they had done that?
Yeah, good point. And I think some of them were probably aware that we're doing something like this. Also, like when speaking to people afterwards, some of them were like asking, often jokingly, did you measure my behavior now? So it's not something that we controlled explicitly for. So we didn't have a variable that asked afterwards, do you think your behavior was recorded or not? But yeah, to be transparent, I would say that probably a fair amount of people also from the conversations had the idea that there was something going on with the order, with the meat order. If it influenced people in their decision, it's another question. I don't know. Yeah.
Thanks so much. That's actually all the time we have. I know it's so tough. But please direct your questions to the speakers if you can catch them later at our poster session, which is next. And maybe we can give them a round of applause for the last.